streaming and let me put on the record button. All right, we are recording and we are live and we are celebrating. Julanne,
Yes.
we are taking the time to be here together. We are celebrating Julanne Dalke's beautiful, beautiful book, Your Eternal Identity. And I hope my sound is on. I'm not sure if it's on right there. We are. I think I need to do it over. I think I had my headset plugged in. I apologize. I'm Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing House. This is the amazing, beautiful Julanne Dalke. We are celebrating today your eternal identity, practicing the principles of a spirit-supplied life. Julanne, how does it feel to say, I'm a #1 best-selling author?
Oh my gosh, it's such a thrill to be here with you, Becky, this morning. It feels great. It feels great. I've been writing a long time, my whole life. And so this is just like the icing on the cake, although I celebrate every moment that I get to be a writer and now a published author. This is my third book in the queue, and I'm very excited. It's my first very personal one. This is my philosophy that I've carried with me all my life.
It's beautiful. And I want to properly introduce you because her bio is beautiful. She's a student of life. She's a writer committed to helping others find freedom to follow their faith-based path. She's also a professional voice actor, painter, and meditative studies class facilitator. Her company, What's Your Story, preserves audio publications that honor and celebrate individuals by listening and preserving their stories. Julanne holds certificates of education in the fields of meditation, writing, and public speaking. She writes, directs, records, edits, and submits audio recordings for a weekly radio show for recreational reading for the blind in Phoenix, Arizona, and holds a certificate of over 5,000 hours for outstanding service from Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona. Amazing. She's a facilitator and founder of Free to Be for in-home meditative studies. And Julanne, many of my authors use the same company and hire the voice actors to have their books transcribed into audiobooks. And because the proceeds actually go to the School for the Blind. It's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So today we want to talk to you about your book, what it's about, and why it is important that you bring this to the world.
Everyone has a story, and it starts when you are born, and then you grow up and are influenced a lot by those who are your guardians. Then that moves to the school age, and you have your influence there. By the time you reach college age, you start to break out and expand into the person that you were meant to be as an adult. And it's important to acknowledge that you are enough just as you are, and you don't need any other outside influences once you discover the spirit that lives within that we came with.
That's beautiful. And don't you think humans in general, not just, many times because I work with a lot of women, but I work with men too, and sometimes they have such a fear of really getting their message out to the world, and they have comparisons. They don't value themselves enough. And I think it's a common malady of humanity. But this is what you are talking about, is it really accepting yourself for who you are and living the richest and the fullest life that you could possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Voyager of bliss and creativity. Everybody needs to have that in their life. Happiness is bliss.
It is. Happiness is bliss. And I'm looking at, the pages. You had a lot of testimonials, beautiful testimonials. Mm-hmm. But your first chapter starts out with under the influence of love. What is that? What kind of love are you talking about?
I use the word love in many different ways. It's another word for God, actually. Avatar, hero, loveliness, counselor. It's all of those things, but love also comes with responsibility. Mm-hmm. and our part in the evolution of our own spiritual growth. It's important to remember that you're never walking alone. You always have someone walking with you. And we have angels and guides that come with us and walk with us. And it's just important to realize that if you only knew the kind of power that you are walking around with, you would never be afraid again. And yet we all always and often look to outside sources to measure our value and our worth.
We do.
And that is a mistake, that we just need to adapt to new circumstances in order to be transformed and become self-realized. And it's important to just wake up and walk awake and be aware that even though we're in the world, we don't have to be of the world, and to take our advice from spiritual alignment. And that's what this book is mostly about.
That's beautiful. And I think of so many times where I've doubted what I intuitively know, and question like, oh, that's just what you want it to be. That's not how it really is. And is the messages, the intuitive guidance that we get, being able to stop and listen to what is being said is really important.
Very important. That's why I practice meditation. I keep an appreciation journal. I do a lot of writing about my daily life. It gives us a historical view when we come back to it and see if we are on track or if we're not.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You have a glossary in your book, at the very start of the book, about the different words that you use very frequently. And it says the word love is used by different names. The words are used interchangeably to define what you consider to be holy names for love, which were eternal identity, spiritual companion, guide, presence, divine mind, grace, supply, hero, divine inspiration, God, inner being, omnipresence, avatar, wisdom, and inspiration. That is fascinating. Because of the richness of each of those words.
And it applies to each person as an individual.
Yes.
I will never ask a person, and you shouldn't ever ask anybody which path to follow with their spiritual journey. And that's why I use so many names for love, is perhaps it would resonate. One word for God would resonate with me, and it might be something different for you.
Absolutely, it always is, because we are uniquely our own person.
Absolutely.
And different life experiences, different everything that brought us to be who we are. You have at the very beginning of your book a song, "When You Wish Upon a Star." Why did you choose that?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the inspirations for the beginning of this book. Everybody that I have grown up with has seen the Disney movie Pinocchio. And Jiminy Cricket, we can all see him, picture it in our mind, him swinging his little stick around and being Jiminy Cricket. And that was the inspiration. It was just one of those aha moments. When I wish upon a star,
Makes no difference
where you are. Yes. And it's a dream for everybody that can come true. And I just decided on that. I wrote that down on a 3x5 card and put it in my bedside drawer. And so every time I opened up the drawer to use my clicker to turn on the fan or turn off the light or something, I would see that poem, and it would remind me and give me just a catapult into continuously, walking in my right now. And what do I want to do to spread this message that everybody can realize their own dream if they will only dare to believe.
That's beautiful. I love that song. It's always one that you could it just puts you somewhere else when you hear the song, and when you live the song, it's a whole different ballgame.
It is.
You talk a lot about, and I know in the times that we've traveled together, prayer and also affirmations are very important.
Mhm.
And your second chapter is on the value of affirmation as self-care. Let's address what that means to you.
All right, affirmations as self-care. I hope to be very careful about how I talk to myself, because most of us self-sabotage and we aren't even aware of it. And my mind will go off and say some negative connotation, and I immediately use a different term to affirm what I do want, because I believe that all of us create a story of our lives. And it can go either way. It can go uphill or it can go downhill, or we can just stay stagnant and just level all the time. And one of my favorite sayings is, I'm either green and growing or I'm ripe and rotting.
Mm,
And
yeah.
affirmations are a very valuable tool. They're peppered throughout the book. They have a page of their own. I inspire the imagination first person, so that you can ignite the power of your mind, which will then take you to your next segment or your next step. And in that imagination, then I create an affirmation that would support my well-being. And it works every time. And these affirmations that are within the book are very easy to memorize if you wanted to, or you can, take a snapshot with your phone and take them with you if you need to find yourself in a space where you want to improve your attitude and live a happier life. It's
How-
easier than you think. We just don't do it.
Right, we don't,
You
not
know?
often enough anyway. Here's a beautiful one. They're all beautiful. You're after this. Imagine partnering with your inner hero who has your best interests at heart. And the affirmation is, I travel not on my own, but with the constant companion who came with me at birth. That is amazing and beautiful.
It is. It's a
We
miracle.
forget it, don't we?
It's a miracle to be alive.
It is.
It's a miracle to be well. Every day we need to celebrate in each moment right now. We can't continue to drag the past forward. It's just like a ball and chain. If you've ever known anyone with dementia or Alzheimer's, and well, I'll just give you a brief example. I was working in a floral shop in Salem, Oregon, and a woman and her two daughters came in to get the flowers arranged for Daddy's memorial service. And so Mama was looking through the book, and she's thinking these flowers are beautiful, but they look like they belong on a casket, she says. And then she said, who died? Why are we here?
Mm.
And the girl said, well, Daddy died, and it was just like the first time she'd heard it. And she burst into tears, and it was a touching moment. But this is what happens every time you bring your past forward, is that you reactivate it into your present now moment. And oftentimes it can just crush us if we let it. And that's part of the self-sabotage that I am hoping to create change, so that we can transform into right now and move into the future, instead of dragging the past behind us.
And you see that so often. My father-in-law I would walk in the door. He had Alzheimer's pretty bad. And he would say, who are you? Get out of my house. I don't know you. And then he'd start singing a song from 1934, word for word.
Wow.
And it was just so amazing to see the process of that, and how maybe the mind reverted back to, I mean, the song was a beautiful song, and it was something that meant a lot to him. But it was like he reverted completely back all those years to that time.
Mhm.
Fascinating. What is an appointment with your destiny?
An appointment with your destiny, we all have one. Is it fate? Is it predetermined? Your destiny is created a lot. You come in with a certain DNA, and you carry your parents' DNA with you to a degree. And your destiny is a story that you can create or not, or your life can happen by default. And in the book, I use the example of a couple that were going to Lackland Air Force Base. I think that's what it's called today. And they met in a training program and fell in love with each other. And yet Cyril was betrothed to someone who lived back home. And so he did not act on that particular union with Maggie. And fast forward, but this was part of their destiny when they were young. And fast forward like 30 or 40 years later, and Cyril's wife had died, and Maggie had had some long-term relationships, but she did not ever get married. She was happy at home with her beloved beagle, and they reunited again on Facebook. And as a result of that, Cyril showed up on Maggie's doorstep. They got reacquainted with each other and were destined to be together. And they are today. Got married.
So many years later.
So many years later. So that is somewhat of a destiny that just everybody has one.
We certainly do. And I hear so many stories of that. I know a lady that just married the love of her life that she had met 28 years prior, and she's just totally ecstatic, just it was just the timing. It was whatever the situation, and that's the way it was. So you talk about deliberate thoughts a lot throughout your book.
Mm-hmm.
And in our conversations, I've noticed how important deliberate thoughts are to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they so important?
They are important because every time you enter into a new segment in your day, that is a new opportunity to create the story about your life that you want it to be. And oftentimes, if you're riding in my car, you're going to hear the Costco prayer every time, because when you get into your car, that's a new segment. So I just pray for guidance and direction, journey mercies, put a bubble of protection around me, around my car, around anybody who's riding in my car. And that is deliberate thought, where you actually program your mind and your heart, both of which have a brain, to the next segment, propelling you forward on to your future. And that's what I mean by segment intending, or what was it that you were?
Deliberate thought?
Yeah, deliberate thought.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be deliberate about our thought. Let's create thoughts that will be joyful and pleasant. If you drop a pebble into a lake, the rings go out.
It's a ripple.
It's a ripple. They just go out and out and out. Well, our thoughts affect other people besides ourselves. And if you are spewing negative thoughts, then that's going to land on the person, or it's all energetically, we're energetically intertwined. So I am very careful to be deliberate with my thought, because I want to be a light in the world and not a dark shadow for somebody else's path.
And we see that so often. If you walk into a room, there's either the life of the party or you know immediately, and you can get like, ugh. It can be other times you walk into a room and immediately you don't want to be there.
Exactly.
And that is that vibrational frequency that goes out to that ripple effect. And I always ask them, do you have stinking thinking?
Yeah, right.
Because it is the power of our thoughts that can transform our lives.
And unfortunately, or fortunately for the other parties, it shows up on your face.
Yes.
And I really guard against that. I will avoid a negative conversation. I've been accused of being quite Pollyanna-ish, and that's all right.
That's a lot better way to live.
It's a lot better way to live. Absolutely.
You talk about something that's fascinating. Is you ask the question towards the end of the book about what makes a master of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
What is that, and what does that mean?
A master of alignment. What makes a master of alignment? A master of alignment walks in peace and grace at all times. A master of alignment has a direct connection to the spirit that lives within them. They get their advice from this sacred space. They turn the other cheek towards adversity. They look for positive aspects in everything that they are involved with. A master of alignment will never shame you, blame you, a master of alignment takes responsibility for their lives and the way they treat themselves and others.
That
A
is,
master of alignment walks in peace and grace, with gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude being grateful for the things that have happened in their past, and in appreciation for the things that are going to happen in their future, because they take control of their mind.
that's beautiful. And how does your family feel about you bringing this book to the world?
Oh boy. Well, mom and grandma has always had a long leash, and I come from a very Christian oriented background, and my philosophy stretches those bands to a degree, and people are often afraid of what they don't understand. And we'll see how they respond to the book. I kept this dream in my heart until I actually got in touch with you, Becky, my publisher, and because I wanted to bring this message into the world. I've been a student of life for life, and spiritually oriented, because I know who I am. And it will resonate with some people, whether they're in my family or not. And I'm just being obedient to the Holy Spirit, and we'll see what happens. But don't shoot the messenger, just love the message.
You know that it's so important because one of the first questions I ask an author when they want to work with me is, who's this book for? It isn't everybody.
Right.
You have to hone it down into that one person that it's for. It doesn't mean it's only for one person. It means there will be many one persons that this book would resonate with, but it is not for the whole world. It's for the ones that are waiting for that special message.
That's right.
And are ready to, and they will come across the book. One way or the other, they will come across this book. And it's beautiful. In the description of your book, it says, as you practice the principles of a spirit-supplied life, you will learn how to transform your life internally and externally, change the way you speak to yourself, adapt to new conditions, and attract more credibility, and become self-realized as you create new ideas and concepts. Learn to let go of the notion that you are less qualified than the guardians that raised you up, the teachers who had an influence on you, the business associates who steered you in the direction of their dreams. And as you connect with the superpower within, you can trust that it's safe to adapt to a new future. As you do, you will lose fear and replace it with confidence, joy, and happiness. How beautiful.
I believe that with all my heart, and I've been practicing it for many years.
That is so beautiful. And so as we conclude this interview as a celebration, actually, of all the work that went into bringing this book to the world, what is your one hope for when somebody picks up this book and they get it in their hand and they're looking at the back cover and kind of paging through it to see what's all about it? And incidentally, every single chapter has a video. Every single chapter, you can scan that with your phone, and it brings it up to a beautiful video. Each chapter has a video that is a special message. You get to hear Julanne's voice, the whole reasoning why she wrote that particular chapter, and what you hope that she hopes that you gain from it. So did you have something else you wanted to share with
I
this process?
do. I hope I can see it without my glasses on.
You want to try these? Will this make it easier? I'm not
That
sure.
will make it much easier.
I hope
Thank
those
you.
will work for you. And you go like, no, I can't see out of those.
Okay. Well, in answer to your question, Becky, this is the highest elevated mantra from me as my gift to you. But you can choose to write your own. Never take your eyes off the relationship with your eternal identity. And it goes like this. I ask that the source within me become the dominant relationship in my life, which enables me to have power over my own thoughts and actions, so that I can then be of the highest value and service to others. And that's my mantra. I hope that you can catch the light and be the light. You were born to be brilliant. You were born to be a star. You were born to shine. And I appreciate every opportunity that I have and will help. And in my reader story, in my letter to the reader, I say something like this: when my mother-in-law died, I thought to myself, who will pray for me now? Because she was a real warrior. And I give the same promise to you. I'm going to pray for you now. Every time I hold this book in my hand, or you do, remember that and know that you are loved. You are loved and you are light, and it's time to shine.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, if what you've heard today resonates with you, be sure and pick up a copy. You can go to right now. It's on Amazon. It will soon be in all the other online bookstores. But pick up a copy of this, and if you can't remember, just type in Amazon Julanne Dalke or your eternal identity. And the cover is so striking that you will immediately recognize it. So with that is with great joy and quite an honor to be able to be here today with Julanne and celebrate this day, the long-awaited day, and to know that there's much more to come. What else is to come? Do you have more?
Well, who knows? I'll let the spirit lead.
Awesome. All right. With that, we will conclude our interview today. And if you have a book in you, be sure to reach out to my website is spotlightpublishinghouse.com, and you can reach down to the little corner, and there'll be a way for you to set an appointment and see if bringing a book to the world is in your future as well. Thank you.
Thank you.